So I have a question, because I always have a question. Have you guys ever made plans and then they didn't work out?
Oh my God!
Right? So last week, remember I said I wasn't feeling that great or whatever, and I thought, okay, I'll get well really fast. And so we made plans for Mother's Day weekend. We were going to go do all these things. We were going to put in a Japanese garden in our backyard, and all kinds of really cool things. And I got sicker, and then I got sicker some more. So on Mother's Day, I wasn't even able to come to church, and the kids and Steve put the Japanese garden together, and I stood in the window of our library and pointed to where the plants needed to go because I couldn't go outside. I was so sick. But it's kind of funny how you have plans and they don't always work out the way you think they're going to. When I first had the kids, I always thought, because you have this in your head, at least I had this in my head, that my husband would work day shift and I would stay home with the kids, or I would work part-time, and then the kids would eventually go to school, and then we'd have evenings together and all that kind of stuff, and that'd be the happy little family, and it would be wonderful. Well, it didn't exactly work out like that for our family. When Josh and Megan were young, real young, the company Steve worked for folded, meaning it just folded up, and that was it, and there was nothing left. And so he had to look for a job, and he had to take whatever job was available to him. And unfortunately for us, that kind of threw a wrench in my little plan of having the perfect kids going to school and being home in the evening and all that kind of stuff. He had to work what's called swing shift. Do you guys know what swing shift is? They call it swing shift because it swings between day shift and night shift. You work from 3 o'clock in the afternoon to 11. Generally, that's a swing shift. And so he worked swing shift for Jelly Belly, which we thought that was going to be so awesome and so great. And it was okay. The hours were long, and it was kind of a tough job for him. And then the problem that we ran into came when it was time for the kids to go to school. Yeah.
Wait, one question.
Mm-hmm.
You get free jelly.
Mm-hmm.
Yes! Are you serious?
Well, okay, let me just preface this. Okay, yes, we got free jelly beans. And yes, he could have jelly beans whenever he wanted. He could walk by and grab jelly beans and eat them. But no, let me tell you what happened. He did that for 5 years, right? He had root canals in his teeth, and it was all kinds of bad. So it wasn't as great of a thing as you think it would be. But yeah, we did get free jelly beans. On occasion. Anyway, so Steve worked nights, or kind of the swing shift, and it was time for the kids to go to school, and we realized that if Megan and Josh were in school during the day, and Steve was at home, and then they were at home at night, and he was at work, they'd never see each other. And that's not the plan that we wanted for our family. We wanted our family to be kind of a cohesive group that kind of was home all the time at the same time. So we kind of investigated and decided that maybe we'd give homeschooling a try. Didn't really know anything about it. It was kind of a new thing. There weren't really charter schools or anything like that back then. But we went ahead and we dove in and ended up, the kids were homeschooled for 18 years. They never went to a public school. It's kind of an interesting thing. A lot of people think that that's weird. I thought it was weird for a while too, but then they did really well in college, and I'm completely okay with that. One of the things that is a real bonus to homeschooling is you can kind of do not what you want, but you have freedom. And so I had freedom, like on Friday afternoons, we would go do really cool things that had to do with science. Science was my thing, and I loved it. We would go to the creek, and we would measure the temperature, and we'd measure the depth of the water. They'd bring all that information back home, and they'd graph it, and they'd do all kinds of different things with it. And it was really, really cool. I really enjoyed it. They've since built houses where the creek was, but we still kind of look over there and remember how we did that. One other thing that we did was celebrate Earth Day. Earth Day wasn't a thing when I was in school. I don't know if people just didn't care about the earth or what. We just didn't, no one celebrated that. But then when the kids were in school, I realized that that was something that we could do. And so it's late in April, I want to say it's the 19th, but I could be wrong on the date. But we would do different things every year. We would maybe let ladybugs go. We'd go buy ladybugs at Osh, and we'd let them go so they could eat the aphids off the rose bushes and things like that. And then one year I realized that there was something really cool we could do. We could get caterpillars, and they would grow into butterflies. I thought, how cool is that? And so we did that, and it was really great. We did it several times, and it's just a fond memory that the kids have. Last week, I was home at lunch, and the doorbell rang, or there was a knock at the door, and UPS guy was there. And he hands me this box from Amazon, and I hadn't even ordered anything, so I'm like, oh, maybe it's for the wrong people. And I grabbed it, and I said, thank you, have a nice day, and all that kind of stuff. And I looked at the box, and it said live insects. I'm like, oh no, what is this? And then I thought to myself, oh no, did Megan order caterpillars? Because she kind of talked about it. So I opened up the box, and lo and behold, it was the caterpillars, and it was the butterfly house, and it was all that kind of stuff. So I texted her, and I said, oh my gosh, you really did that, that's so cool. And what it is you get this little cup. It's about this big, and it's clear, and it has a plastic lid on it. And the bottom of it is this brown goo, and literally, it's like brown goo. And the caterpillars are like this big, really, really tiny, right? And you think, how are these caterpillars going to even turn into butterflies? How's that even going to be a thing? And they eat the brown stuff, and they spin, and it's not, I'm sure it's not silk, but they spin this webbing stuff from the bottom of the cup, top of the cup, bottom of the cup, top of the cup, for about a week. They do that. And so it looks almost like a spider's web in there. But these caterpillars are just doing their thing, and then all of a sudden, whenever they've figured out that it's time to go up and do their thing, they climb up the silk. They climb up it because they need framework to get from the bottom of the cup to the top of the cup. Once they get to the top of the cup, they attach themselves to the top of the cup. There's a piece of paper. They hang in a J. They hang for about 8 hours or so. And then all of a sudden they start to spin, literally. And they spin really fast, and then they turn into crystals. A couple times I was able to see that. I didn't get to see that this time. They did that while I was at work. But it's really, really cool. And right now, in my living room, in our butterfly house, we have 10 butterflies, because they all hatched this week. It's a pretty awesome thing. Why would I bother telling you guys about caterpillars and butterflies and their cup and their framework and their web? Because for the last 4.5 weeks, we've been talking about sharing our faith. We're talking about how everybody matters, right? How there are people who are lost in the world and they need Jesus, and how we need to share that with them. How we need to use who we are, our unique personalities, to reach different people all over the world, people that we never even met before, that God's going to use us to do that. See, I did it right this time. Sort of. Anyway, so we've hit many different things. Last week we talked about how sometimes it doesn't work out right. Sometimes you're stuck and you think that you've done everything right, and people still don't want to hear about Jesus. Tonight we're going to talk about a framework, just like the caterpillars have to get from the bottom of the cup to the top of the cup to become butterflies. This is a framework that's going to help you guys to share your faith with other people. Things are going to be a little bit different up here tonight, because I'm going to have someone help me go through all this, and we're going to kind of tag team it and do it together. It's going to be kind of organic. We haven't practiced it, so it could be kind of funny. We could drop the microphone. We could just start to giggle. It could be just one of those kind of things. I'm going to pray real quick, and then I'm going to have Sandy come here once I'm done. God, I thank you so much for the flu and getting me to slow down ever so slightly, because you know that I don't like to do that. And I thank you that you have brought me here to this place in front of these people in this moment to share what you have for them this evening. I just ask that you would be here with us to open our ears and open our hearts to what you have to say, to drink it in and to lock it away, so when the opportunity does arise, that we would remember what it is that you want us to do. I pray all these things, Lord, in the strong name of Jesus, and all God's people said. Amen. So yeah, before dinner, I couldn't even breathe, so I wasn't even sure how I was going to actually do this. So Sammy, come on up. Hi, Sammy. Didn't I ask you this like 2 days ago? Yeah, I'm like, can you help me? She's like, yeah, I can help you. So, okay, we have a framework here for sharing your faith. It's here every single week. You guys walk by it every single week. I walk by it every single week. I look at it every single week. It's here Tuesday night too. It's over there on the wall. It's life in 6 words. It's an acrostic. Do you guys know what the word acrostic means? Okay, it's a fancy word for a way, I mean, I should have looked up the real definition, but this is the Wendy definition. It's a fancy way of presenting information. So you have a word that goes down, and then you build off of the word. Okay, the word that goes down on this one is gospel. We talked about that last week. What's the gospel? Cool. Interestingly, sorry, what's that? Oh, no, that's acoustic, not acrostic. This is so awesome. We could call it an acoustic. I want to call it an acoustic, I really do. I should.
You should say it's tormented.
No, I won't do that. That's not very nice. That's really not very nice. Now I completely lost what I was thinking. I don't even know. Take a drink of water. Acrostic. The acoustic acrostic. Over there on the wall. I used to do these with the kids in school. We would, to get the point across, you have the word that goes down and then you build off of it. So the word that goes down, like I said, is gospel. And the gospel is the good news. A couple weeks ago, I had a friend of mine, we were talking, and they asked me, hey, Wendy, what's the good news? What do you think that is? And I stared at them, and I got kind of mad, because I couldn't answer their question. So I was like, well, it's the good news, right? That's the answer, right? Wanting them to tell me I have the right answer, because I just want the right answer. That's kind of how I am. And in their kind of way that they sometimes can be, they wouldn't tell me if I was right or not. So I had to kind of sit there and stew about it a little bit. And I talked a little more, and it is the good news. The gospel is the good news. It's that Jesus died for us. And died. That's what happens. See, with this, my throat gets really funny, and I have to cough, and then I have to go get water really fast. It happened at Home Depot. I think people thought I was crazy as I was running to the checkout line to get hot water. Anyway, back to the gospel thing. So it's the good news that Jesus died for us and died for our sins. So how this works is, on the outlines that you guys have, you have a blank for the word. So I'm going to pass it off to Sammy, and she's going to say what the line is in the acrostic, because she memorized it a couple years ago. And then she'll pass it back to me. We'll go back and forth, back and forth. Ready? First one. What's the first word? God. Can you finish that line for me?
This is totally organic. This is the part where I sit down and you just laugh.
God created us to be with Him. Okay, what do you guys think that means? God created us to be with Him. You guys even have a clue what that means?
Give him a friend.
Pardon?
Give him a friend.
To give Him a friend.
Hey, sir.
Yeah, to serve Him. So God, now on your outlines you don't have the, oh actually, Sammy, do this for me. Pass those out, would you? These are always here, and it's kind of funny when we set things out for refuge and we set things out for wild side. A lot of times students don't pick them up because they don't realize they're sitting over there. Just a minute. These cards are over there with that information that's on the banner, on the cards. They're always over there. And then Sammy pointed out to me too, before I forget, there's these little life books that kind of give more detail to what we're talking about tonight. And the very last page, my voice is probably going to go, is what we're talking about. And those are over there too. There's not a ton of them, but they're over there. And if we need more of them, I'm sure Isaac can get it for us. So anyway, back to that. Let me see. Thank you. So God created us to be with Him, right? Did God create the earth and the world? You guys think? Yes, no? Yeah. When? In the beginning, creation, right? So God created the world. He created the world for us to be with Him. To have a relationship. Thank you for correcting me. Awesome. That's what it says. Okay, sorry for not saying that exactly right. It's organic. It's very organic. Okay. Oh, Sammy. Our sin separates from God. What does that mean? I'm just going to ask you because it's easier because you're right here. If your sins, what does that mean? Our sins separate us from God. You don't have to know the answer. How good?
Our sins take us away from our relationship because we're not obeying God, so it takes us away from our relationship with God, which is what He created us for in the first place.
The next one is S. What is S?
Sins cannot be removed by good deeds.
That's right. I thought that when I was a kid. I thought that when I did something wrong, if I did something right, it would erase it. And that's not how it works. Your sins can't be erased by doing good stuff. Even though it seems logical, that's not how it works. That's not at all how it works. Next one.
Paying for the price for sin, Jesus died and rose again.
Thank you. What's that?
So paying the price for sin, so we sin, and instead of us taking away our sin, Jesus, in order to take away our sin, He died on the cross for us and rose again.
All right. E.
This is real fun.
Everyone who trusts in Him alone has eternal life.
What's eternal life? What do you think that means?
Life forever, not just to let Him die before Him. It never ends.
Exactly. Pardon me? Let's just go with that. How about we just go with it? Just go with that. And the last one is L.
Life with Jesus starts now and lasts forever.
That is very true. Life.
Oh, Isaac, can you play the video, please?
At my school, I am currently enrolled in a building trades class where we go out and build houses, and I'm also enrolled in sports. For me as a high school student, to carry on a relationship with somebody is probably one of the most important things because I had an experience in a class with a friend that we got on the subject of religion, and I told him that I really didn't like using the word religion because I had a relationship with God. And he kind of asked me more about, what the relationship was. So I told him my background of being a Christian and having a relationship with God. And I asked him, what do you believe? What's your mindset on this? And he actually told me that he was a Wiccan and he believed in the Lord and the Lady, things like that. And it was funny because I just got done watching The Gospel Journey when they had the Wiccan on there. So I knew of a background of what he was coming from, and I knew stuff that I could say and ask him. And so we had about a half an hour of talking through all that, and he told me, man, this is an eye-opener. He goes, God has really sent you to me, so I can realize this. He goes, it's so much better. So we had our next class was actually lunch. Me and him walked outside, sat on a park bench, and I shared my faith. I went over the gospel with him, and wound up leading him to Christ, which was the coolest thing ever. Now, my friend, he is involved with the youth group, and he's one of my best friends, and we have 3 classes together this year, so it's nice to have another Christian friend to help share the faith. To be the guy that God used, it's awesome because you read that stuff in the Bible, you don't think it's going to happen to you, and for it to happen to you, it's like, oh, God's really out there. He really wants to use me.
See if I can get through stuff. So, there will be times, I can guarantee you, that there will be opportunities for you to share Jesus with people. I know that because there were 2 times that I can think of that I didn't do it because I was scared. There were 2 ladies, and they were separate occasions. They were 2 different ladies, different times. There was a couple years in between. And I was an adult. I was probably in my 30s, and I've been a Christian for a long time. And they each asked me, hey, Wendy, tell me a little bit about God. Can you tell me about that? Can you tell me, like, why you go to church and stuff? And I panicked. And I didn't know what to say. And so I didn't say anything. Changed the subject. And we moved on to something else. And I have regretted that decision, both of those decisions, ever since. Because those were times that I could have shared Jesus with those ladies. I don't know, I know that they were both going through some really rough stuff. What I'm saying is, don't let fear of people judging you, of feeling stupid, any of those things, don't let that stop you from sharing your faith with other people. It's an amazing thing that God opens up for us, and when He does open those opportunities up, take them. Even if they're little, even if they're just like, hey, I go to Wildside. You want to go to Wildside with me? Wildside's kind of a weird name, and so that's an automatic, well, what is Wildside? What does that even mean? Are you guys wild there? What does that mean, you know? And so, I don't know what there. I want to encourage you guys to do that, because like I said, I didn't. And I wasn't sure if I was going to be honest with you guys and tell you that. Not that I was going to lie, but I just wasn't sure if I was going to bring that up. It's not something I'm super proud of. But I would encourage you guys to talk to people about what you do here, about what we do here, about what kind of fun this is. Because it is pretty fun every Thursday. I think you guys have a good time. I have a good time. So, ask the band to come up and pray. And I want to say one more thing, actually. I want to thank you guys for this past 5 weeks. And I'm probably going to cry. I became an adult leader when Josh was in 8th grade. And I worked in the kitchen. And I sold candy. And that's what I did. And that's all I ever planned to do. I was happy in there, taking the money and smiling and meeting kids. I never ever thought that God would put me up here. So I want to thank you for being kind and courteous when I made mistakes, and just being attentive, and just being the awesome people that you are. This was a privilege for me. I will never forget it. So thank you. I'm going to pray real fast. Hopefully I will come. God, I thank you so much for stretching us in ways that we never would imagine. Thank you for this opportunity and how hard it was. How horribly difficult it was. I just thank you for that. And just ask you to be with us for the rest of the day. In Jesus' name.